So, at the heart of this is proof of perhaps the biggest story in human history, that
Yeah.
potentially we may not be alone.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the possibilities of where this is going. And that's really exciting for all of us. I mean, we're all human. We're all in awe of that idea. But we have to be very careful about accepting whatever the outcome is. And it's not going to be anything boring, I'll tell you that. But exactly what it is and where it comes from, uh, those possibilities keep broadening.
And notice there was this gigantic red glowing square shaped object hovering at low altitude over the launch pad.
Wow. Was there also a landing?
Yeah.
So let's dive into this and find out a little bit more. Remember, Tom DeLonge started To the Stars Academy and was heavily involved in UFO research. In fact, getting UFO Researcher of the Year in 2017.
Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share everything with your friends. Go do it right now. We appreciate the support in all the different places.
As I understand it, you're about to release later this week a document which you call the Skywatcher Discovery Framework. It's a protocol for how you intend to investigate and corroborate or disprove the phenomenon. Take us through it, please. What is this discovery framework?
At the top level, it's a document really meant to anchor how we think about our overall approach to collecting data and then sharing our findings with the public, right? Skywatcher is not meant to do its work in the shadows. We want to do things in the open. We want to have a transparent and rigorous scientific approach that brings in all experts and folks that are observing these activities. But we want to apply the rigorous scientific method to our work and to how we communicate the level of confidence in our findings, right? Right now, we're in a sort of a zone of ambiguity and uncertainty around lots of UAP-related information and data.
Ross fuckum Coulthart. NewsNation Reality Check. Jake Barber, Skywatcher's finding things that are not known objects. UFOs. It's an hour and a half. He says that it's not going to be boring, but this episode is kind of boring. Skywatcher is kind of boring. Sorry, everyone. It's been months now, so no spoiler alert is needed. Everyone should know who Jake Barber is. He's the guy who's doing Skywatcher. Ross Coulthart is involved in Skywatcher, even if just in promoting it. The new guy here, Skywatcher's strategic advisor, Matthew Pines. His new role, what it means for the future of Skywatcher. So the guy on the right, he is better than Jake Barber. So they can move Jake Barber to the background. Kind of everything Skywatcher is doing is good way to go about making a bunch of money doing UFO stuff. So they're gonna, put out a lot of videos about stuff. All the videos that you watch so far is just not really UFOs and aliens yet, but they're planning to get to UFOs and aliens at some point, they say. And that's what the whole episode's about. They got a lot of categories in here. Matthew Pines to release Skywatcher Discovery Framework. So they did. They released a huge document. I didn't read it at all. I think that people were saying it was 52 pages. 52 pages. And I assumed that they were exaggerating and trolling. But they might not have been. I didn't even go look. I did read the official press releases that Skywatcher has been putting out on X. It's not a fun watch, I guess if you're a Skywatcher fan, it's kind of fun. Really, they're trying to summon UFOs using guys with psychic powers, and they have some devices and technology that they can use to kind of like amplify that. And they have a lot of technology and people involved in tracking everything involved: the UFO, the humans, the psychics, the technology, the readings. They have lots of sensors and things to track sensor data. So they're doing a lot of science, basically, is what they say. And now they've come up with a really long kind of process that starts with, now with their dune buggies and 50 caliber machine guns and helicopters and guys with psychic powers and all the doodads. And that's going to go through a bunch of phases. I don't know if it was 6 or 8 or 12 or 18. I think they only really talked about 6. And then they're going to prove that there's UFOs, and from there they're going to prove that there's, aliens, whatever those aliens are, inside the UFOs, because they're going to come land and, talk to them. So it's like, it's really cool, it's really neat. Jake Barber is never like a fun watch, and he comes off as kind of like a crazy dude. So, I'm not even trying to talk crap about them, because they're like doing this thing, they've been doing it for months. And the reason it's so kind of nothing burger-ish is because they haven't ever shown us any videos of UFOs, but they say that they can, call them, talk to them, and that's 100% success rates and all this stuff. It's the original egg video, which they then, after they played it, said, well, that's not Jake Barber's egg, that's just a video like it. So, they've never really produced anything. They've produced really cool videos of them guys driving their dune buggies and helicopters around really fast in the desert. So they talk about all that stuff. They have a lot of terminology to talk about also. They don't want to call them psychic guys. They've come up with a new term, which I can't remember either. And Ross Coulthart, in this whole 10-minute part, is kind of like making fun of it, because he keeps on asking and keeps on messing it up also. It's like neurological meditative assets or something. Doesn't matter. So you can go watch it if you want to know about those terms. They're really doing a lot to come up with documents and terms and do science. So it's cool. But this particular hour and a half and all the hours that I've seen with Jake Barber haven't been very fun to watch, because we're just kind of talking about the same thing. Guys with mental powers calling down UFOs, not videotaping it, and I guess doing it over and over and over again with no video evidence. And so we got this guy, Pines. The real story here is Pines, and the document made a pretty big splash on X earlier in the week. Basically people making fun of it because it just, like I said, it's a lot of science. It's a lot of doing science. And, no videos of UFOs or aliens. And so Pines is cool because even just watching these guys here, as you watch them, the Barber Coulthart presentation is now old and stale. And so bringing in Pines, and he can jump on things and be in a little box and talk science, and that's going to be good for the advancement of Skywatcher kind of going forward. So that's kind of the real story here. Unfortunately, again, no UFOs or aliens involved in the Skywatcher news.
On radar. So they had no idea what this object was. And at some point during that time frame, the object just slowly floated further onto the installation, and they lost visual as it went over some hills. So it came onto the base. Absolutely no noise, no signs of propulsion. So this was completely anomalous. So after making those notifications, the controller notified the law enforcement desk and asked us if we knew anything about the object and requested that we responded. We send an armed patrol out. So that initiated my friends getting involved. And they drove out to the site. It's probably a 15 or 20-minute drive from our command center to that location. It's out located right on the coast.
Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, Weaponized, episode number 71. Massive mystery cubes invade Vandenberg base. Military cops give chase. It's with Jeff Nuccetelli. You know, I don't think I've ever seen his story before. Never seen him on a show telling his story before. But I've heard him or heard someone else tell a story, like maybe Richard Dolan recited his story or read it. Maybe called into like a radio show. I think maybe there's another guy, you know, at the same place. I'm sure, like the big mystery red cube over Vandenberg is not really a new story. But I don't think I've ever seen him before. So this was a good watch. It's short, it's 51 minutes. It's fun. It's got all the things in it. There's no like aliens or alien abductions jumping out, but it's got all the things in it. I mean, his story is really good. The way that he tells the story, it starts with him, you know, coming on duty and being in the, you know, coffee break room, and the other guys are talking about stuff that had happened on the base that night. An alien ship had shown up, and people had seen it, and all sorts of people were talking about it. So there's intrigue and there's foreshadow. And then he goes on duty, and what do you know? Big red cube, rectangle cube, UFO shows up. And it doesn't like show up right where he's at first. It shows up though, and it shows up the way he tells the story. Oh, it's some lights off in the distance over the ocean on the coast. And then they're getting closer, and then it's there. It's a cube. And then the people on the radio go ape shit. It's getting closer, and here they are. They're right on top of us. And he's driving as quick as he can, and he makes the, 30-minute trip in 8 minutes or something. So there's a lot of good storytelling and suspense. He's an eyewitness. But there's no aliens, just good UFO story. Shows up, checks out the military base, lands on the flight line, hovers around. Nobody shoots it with a missile or anything, apparently. And that was something I was wondering while I was listening to this. And something I've been thinking about lately. Because he's saying, they all filled out their reports. They all submitted them. They did all the stuff they're supposed to do. And none of this even seems unusual in 2025 that there's guys on a military base who saw a UFO show up or aliens or something, and they fill out their reports and they submitted them, and then they just went about life. They just went about working. They kept on coming to the military base, punching in, punching out. Right? It was normal. He didn't get fired or punished or anything, apparently, for seeing the UFO and reporting it in their regular reports. Or even if all that's true, they saw a UFO and it flew over the base and they reported it, they didn't get in trouble for not fucking up the UFO, right? Like, no one got written up or fired, or disappeared, I guess, because they didn't shoot down the UFO. So, I guess it was okay that the UFO flew around Vandenberg military base and landed. This was over a couple nights. He might even be telling this over a couple weeks. So, big red mystery flying cube thing flies over the military base. A whole bunch of people see it. There's a lot of hubbub. There's panic over the radio. There's lots of reports. Everyone signs everything and dates it and sends it up the line, and it's all good. Moving on. So I've been thinking about that lately. Like, why is that okay? Like, why didn't those guys even get, like, I don't know, some safety training, right? And he mentions it in here, so it probably was this video, because he does mention in here that these are trained people. These are trained people. Trained in lots of ways, but they're trained, and they're also trained to not shoot shit down, to not shoot shit down, to not just start shooting at things. So I'm not saying they should have gotten in trouble. They should have shut it down. Maybe they should have. If it was flying over the neighborhood, abducting people for snacks and other extracurricular activities, don't we want those ones, like, chased off or shot down? We don't want them. Do you want to get abducted? Do you want to have the abduction? So, it's a fun one. It's 51 minutes. It's about a red rectangle cube flying over Vandenberg military base and scaring the shit out of all the military people there.
Fucking movies, books, TV shows.
Yep.
Everything, man. Like, we fucking dived into it. We got UFO research over the year, 2017. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, well,
you really dived into all that stuff.
I did, because I felt like I literally, that was the one time in my life where I felt like I was doing something for humanity. Some people go out and they join like an activist group, or they go out and they clean up water, or they go and feed, people that are in poverty. Like, this was my version of what I thought I could do, because I really felt like to get this conversation started, which we did, was going to have a profound effect on the world and where we end up as a species.
All right, Tom DeLonge drops UFO bombshell in new interview. Vetted. Yeah, the real news here is the really fucking badass UFOs and Aliens song that the Vetted guy made using AI. They dropped on his 11-minute video here. So it's worth watching it just for that, watching the whole thing. Just for that, it's totally cool with me. Tom DeLonge, his bombshell is something like, yeah, dude, the aliens are real and it involves time and shit. Oh, and that, the governments and everyone are in cahoots with each other and the aliens to hide it. So that's the bombshell, and that they keep us divided on race. They keep us divided to keep all that hidden, to help them keep all that hidden. I don't really know why. I mean, that's what his bombshell is, but I don't really know why. Like, what does that, do for them or us? Like, why do they want to hide it? There's some people who say that they had to, that they thought they had to. Maybe they proved to themselves and to everyone else that they didn't really have to, because they've been kind of like letting it out the bag. A lot of the, ufology folks this week and throughout time have been saying that, right? That's one of their main grinds, right? Is that it's actually been disclosure for like probably the whole time we've been talking about it not being disclosure. It's just been this slow drip disclosure. So, that's the bombshell, is that it's like involves time and shit, dudes, and the government and everyone else has been keeping it hidden from you. Part of Tom DeLonge's thing has always been that he, did a lot of research and figured it all out, and he got so close to it and knew so much about it that they came to him, that the government came to him and said, dude, you figured it all out, we're going to let you in the club. You've earned your way into the club, so you're in now. So that's kind of nothing to really come of TTSA except for the books, which are cool. They're great books. They're great science fiction books, even if they're not science fiction. If they're real, they're cool too. They're scary as fuck if they're real. So that's what you get. That's what you get from Vetted and Tom DeLonge is you get the answer. That's all real, has to do with time and shit, and that they're keeping us all divided on purpose so that they can keep that hidden from us. But I'm not really sure how that explains that part, you know, I guess. So they can harness our labor and our, you know, negative emotions. Right. Good stuff, Vetted. Take us out of here.
I made an AI song kind of in the vein of Blink 182 about aliens and UFOs, and I'm going to let it take us out into the sunset. So, all right, Vetters, we'll see you in the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace!
There's a flash in the sky and it's not the force. Something's weird on the edge of the earth. I grabbed my flashlight, but it flickered out. Now there's green little guys creeping on